So good morning, everyone. Are you able to hear my voice? My voice is clear, everyone. To everyone. Yes. Good morning, everyone. My voice is clear and audible. Yes, keep your mics in mute position. I heard some voice. It will disturb you as well as others. So okay, thank you. So let us start with our today's session. Uh, Yesterday, what we discussed? What was the topic we discussed yesterday? Yes, DNS. So yesterday, we discussed what is the main purpose of using the DNS. It is used as a name resolution service, means we can resolve the name into IP as well as IP into the name with the help of what? Lookup zones. So we discussed two zones, forward lookup zones and reverse lookup zones. So forward lookup zone is used for resolving the name into IP. This is done with the help of records, which are like address record. Along with that, it will also have what SO record and NS. But the main record in forward lookup zone is what? Address record. SOA and NS will be created default in forward lookup zone as well as reverse. But we need to create as administrator address record. And we will hide our system name with the help of what? The alias name. So alias record also we need to create in the forward lookup zone. Then the resolution from IP to the name is done from the reverse lookup zones. So how to create the forward lookup zone, reverse lookup zone we have seen. And we also seen yesterday how we can create the record. Like record PTR we created in the reverse lookup zone, which will resolve IP into the name. So that whatever we discussed yesterday, that is related with what? The standard primary means, which is called in simple word, master DNS server. So that DNS server which we have configured yesterday is a master DNS server which will have read and write privileges. Do we work with a single particular server like for the DC? If the DC get down, entire network will be affected. So for that, what we have done, what we discussed to overcome that problem, backup server. What was the name we used for the backup server for the DC? Yes, ADC. And day before yesterday, we created the backup for the DSCP with what name? DSCP backup. What was the name we used for the backup for the DSCP? No one remember? Yes, failover. Very nice. We discussed what? How to configure the failover server. So that is a backup for the DSCP server. Why we are maintaining the backup server? When our main server get down, we should not get any network should not get affected. As usual, as normal, it should work. And like we'll say to get the failover, to get the fault tolerance. Fault tolerance means if one of our main servers get down, the same thing services should be provided without getting any disturbance from the backup server. So that's why we maintain as a for a fault tolerance purpose what? The backup server for each and every services. So for DC we have ADC, for DSCP we had failover. So yesterday we created standard primary, which is nothing but master DNS server. So if you are working with a standard only with a standard primary, if suppose that get down, then we'll get a problem in the network. So we should not get any problem in the network, even if our standard primary get down means we as administrator we need to maintain in our network like the backup of the DNS. So that here we are using technically what name? So the backup name for the DNS we are using what name? What's the name we are using for the backup for the master DNS server? Master DNS server name is what? Standard primary. So what is the backup server name for the DNS? standard secondary. So what is the first topic we are going to discuss in today's session? How to create or configure the backup server of the DNS master server. So the master DNS server is referred with what name? Standard primary. So the backup of the standard primary will be there with what name today? Standard secondary. So our first topic for today is what? Standard secondary, which is a backup server for the standard primary. Is it clear? The voice is okay now, everyone? So let's start with that. So we don't have much theory today. Yesterday we discussed the theory. Today we'll have mostly the practicals. So yesterday we discussed what is DNS, what is DNS, what is the use or purpose of the DNS, how it will do its work. All these things we have discussed yesterday. Yes, these things we have discussed. This thing is also over, and we discuss what is the difference between authoritative and non-authoritative. What is meant by fully qualified domain name? Yes. Then we discuss lookups. Lookup reverse. So this comes under the zones. So we have altogether how many zones in DNS server? 4 zones. But we discuss how many zones here. This is first we discuss what? Forward lookup zone, reverse lookup zone. Inside that they will have what? Records like SOA, NS, host record, alias record, pointer, MX record for mail server, and SRV records in the domain model. So altogether, how many zones we have in the DNS server? 4 zones. So yesterday we discussed the first zone, that is the standard primary, which is nothing but the master DNS server. So in that, we have to create forward lookup zone and reverse lookup zone. Master DNS server contain what? 2 lookup zones. What are they? Forward lookup and reverse lookup. In the forward lookup, we have to create what? The records. So the working of the DNS server depends on zones, which in turn depends on records. So we cannot rely only on one machine or on one machine who is providing a particular. If it because if it get down means that service won't be available to entire network. So as a precautionary measure or as a remedy or as a fault tolerance, we will definitely keep the backup service. So yesterday we did configure master DNS server, which is used for name resolution. So if that get affected, means our entire network will be affected in terms of the resolution service. So to prevent this type of problem, we will be maintaining in our network the backup server. So the backup server for the master DNS is called slave server, slave DNS server in simple word. But technically we are referring master DNS server as what? Standard primary. And the backup of standard primary is referred as what? Standard secondary. So today we are going to configure what? The backup server of the master DNS server in the form of standard secondary. So it is a backup to the standard zone, and it will have which option? It will have not read write option. It will is only read. So the backup server of DNS will provide the support to the existing network, but we cannot do any changes or any new things with the standard secondary. It can be done only after you make your up, you make your standard primary up. Again, then you can do some new things. But to the existing network, it will support. There will be no problem with the standard secondary for existing network. Okay. So shall we focus now how to configure the standard secondary? Because today we don't have much theory. Only most of them is practical. Because yesterday we discussed the theory. So now can I proceed with the first practical for today? That is how to configure the standard secondary. Standard secondary means nothing but are talking about the slave DNS server or backup server of the master DNS server. Okay. So let me start with the practical now. So before we proceed to the practical, I'll just explain you how to configure the slave DNS server. Then I'll show you the practical. Now, yesterday we have done with this master DNS server. So we install the service, then created forward lookup zone inside the records, record and alias record. Then we created the standard primary reverse zone also. How to create we discussed that. And we created one record pointer. Then we did the verification from same machine as well as other machine. But today our practical is about standard secondary. What is our first practical for today? Standard secondary. So for standard secondary, what you have to do? Again, log in as an administrator where you configure your master DNS server. In that machine, you have to log in. Then create some standard primary zone with host record and alias record. So already we had what? Yahoo. So I'll not create it because yesterday only we discussed how to create it. Then our system one is ready as a master DNS server. But today our main task is what? How to create a secondary what? Standard secondary. That is nothing but the backup server. So we'll be creating in the other machine the backup. So I'll go to my system to that machine be member server. Already we made it. When we configure the DSCP, we made it. Now it is existing like a member server. So now note the IP address and preferred DNS of the second machine should be same. And alternate DNS should be what? The DC machine IP address. This is the setup we have to do before we make this machine as what? Standard secondary. So once you have done this, what you have to do? Install the DNS server like with the previous step what we have seen yesterday. Same. Open the server manager console after installing the service. Open the server manager console. Expand our system name. Now in today's case, yesterday my system name was the system 1 because I did in the DC. Now I'm doing this practical backup server in the other machine. So my system name now will be what? System 2. And right click on the forward lookup zone. Create one new zone. Next, secondary. Now I need to select not standard. I need to select here standard secondary because I'm creating the secondary zone. Next zone name, like I'm taking Yahoo is there in the forward lookup zone. Yahoo is created in the master DNS server. Same name I'm using. Then next master DNS server name, because when I'm using this name, the zones contain what? Records. So in the backup server will not create the records like we have discussed in the failover server. We configure or created the scope in the main DHCP server. But once we created the failover, the scopes have been same replicated or came from the DC to or from the DHCP to the failover. So same thing we will do here. I'll create the forward lookup zone with secondary zone name under the secondary zone name in the second machine, but I'll not create the records. That records need to be replicated from the main master DNS server to the slave DNS server. That is what our verification. So I'll give the name from where the replication should take place from the master DNS server. So give the master DNS server IP address, then click on validate, next to finish. Now you go to the zone transfer. So zone transfer will be done from the zone transfer is done to transfer the records. So these records are existing in my master DNS server, which is there in DC machine. So I need to go to the DC machine. Then go to the Yahoo forward lookup zone because we are working now presently on the Yahoo forward lookup zone. Then right click on Yahoo, click on the property, then select what? Zone transfer. Then select what? Only to the following server. Edit. Type the IP address of the secondary DNS server. Then click on validate, apply, OK. Now you come to the now you come to the now you come to the what? Come to the second, where you have configured your secondary standard or backup server. Then open the DNS server from the Yahoo. Check the records, whether the records have came or not. It should come. If the records are not coming, then what is the solution you have? Refresh 2-3 times. Right click on the Yahoo again, transfer one more time. Stop the DNS server, DNS service. Again, start it. These are the troubleshooting we can do it. If the records are you are not getting. So now, can I do this practical? So shall I show you this practical? Okay, fine. So I need to switch on two machines. So this is my yesterday DNS server. This is my client. This machine today I'll make it like a today I'll make it like a standard secondary. Now I'm logging from the DC machine now. So yesterday configure this machine as a master DNS server. To the DNS. This is my client machine. Let me go to the my DC machine. So in DC machine, yesterday I configured what? I configured the master DNS server and I created forward lookup zone with what name? Created yesterday. Forward lookup zone name is with what? Yeah. Forward lookup zone is created with Yahoo. Created these two records will be the default. I created two records. Same thing I did in the reverse lookup zone. One record PTR for the yahoo.com. Yes. Yeah. Pointer we have created. Now I want to ask you one thing. Shall I use this existing name or shall I create one more time the forward lookup zone? Shall I use the existing one or shall I create a new one? Okay. Somebody is requesting new one. So what I'll do, I'll delete and again I'll create it. I'm deleting it, forward lookup zone. It has been deleted. So now I'll create a new forward lookup zone. This is I'm doing in the DC, please remember. So go to the forward lookup zone, right click, new, then next. So we are creating first primary zone, standard primary. So you uncheck this. You just keep only what? Standard primary. So what was the name I used yesterday? Same name I'll continue. Yahoo.com. Then next. Here I should allow both secure and non-secure updates. Next. Finish. So Yahoo is created. with 2 records, but I need to create 2 more records. So I'm creating 2 more records. How to do it? Go to this host record. So this will resolve name into IP. First, we need to write our system name, then the IP address of that system. So in my case, my DC name is what? System1. And the IP address is what? 10.1. So same thing I'm writing. So now it will able to resolve name into IP. It has been created. Now you need to create 1 more record, because in the real time we'll never show our system name to others or public user. We'll hide it by using some alias name. Like generally used alias name is what? This. So now the alias name the users will be using www.yahoo.com, but the actual name is what? System1.yahoo.com. Now the alias record. My zone is been, my records have been created for the forward lookup zone. So my DC is ready. So now I want to create the backup of this master DNS server. So that should be created in the other machine, because if this machine get down, we will not have this service available to the entire network. So to prevent the problem, what you may get with the shutdown of this service or with the shutdown of this machine, we will maintain what? The backup server. So to maintain the backup server, I'll be going to the other machine. So first, what should I do in the other machine? First, what should I do in this machine? First, I need to have the correct IP address. Like I told you, the setup. So first, you see this machine system name is what? System2. And it is a member server. So first condition is fulfilled. Second condition, the IP address and preferred DNS of this machine should be same. Change it. Giving the IP address. Now I'm using the static IP. So let's call this machine as what? System2. IP address this. Then this machine we are making as a DNS server, backup DNS server. So machine IP address and preferred DNS should be same. But it should take the replication from the master DNS server. Master DNS server is configured it where? In the first machine IP address, that is the DC. Now you say what? Okay. Just refresh it by disabling and enabling. So this is the setup you have to do to make this machine as a backup server of DNS. Now this machine is ready. First we have to install the DNS. We already did. First we have made this machine for the practical of the forest. This machine I made DC. So whenever we make DC machine, the DNS service will get already installed. So now you go to the tools, open this service DNS. First in this you create a forward lookup zone, but under secondary, not under primary, because we are making this machine as a standard secondary. So expand it, you will find the forward lookup zone name, right click new. Now here next. Now previously in DC machine we use this name, but now here we are creating what? Standard secondary. So you select what? Secondary zone. Next. The zone name should be same. What you have created in the master, same name you need to continue. Then Yahoo. Now here you need to give the IP address of the master. What is the master IP address? 10.1 in my case. Now you need to validate after giving it. It has state name. Now you can get the name now here. Next. Finish. So now a zone has been created with what name? Forward lookup zone. So it will have what? No records. But we should not create the records here. It should be replicated from the master DNS server. Then only our backup server will be working. So to transfer the records from the DC, we need to go to the DC. As we did it for the DSCP, same thing. Now, which records you want to transfer? The forward lookup zone. So just go to this forward lookup zone. I came to the master machines here. I'm in the DC machine here. You can see highlighted. Earlier I was working here. Here. I created the forward lookup zone. Now it doesn't have any records. So the record should be replicated from the master. So I went to the master DNS, right click. We are working on which forward lookup zone? Yahoo. So now, can you find here some option called? Now go to the what? Properties. Right click on that. Go to the properties. Now here, can you find the option called tap zone transfer? So click on that. Now transfer to any server or to only one of the following. Only the server listed here. Or you can select this also. Only to the following server. Then give the IP address. Click on the edit. Then give the IP address. What is the IP address? Where it should the replication should take place? Now this should be your backup server IP address. Then validate. Now IP you got it. Okay. Now you say what? Live. Oh. Now if you want, you just refresh few times. This server is there should be replicated to the backup server. Now come back here. Now you got till now any records? You just see. Now again few times you refresh. We didn't get any. We didn't get any record. So what is the solution? I said troubleshooting. If you are not getting the records, what is the troubleshooting? I said you can do it here. So one of the troubleshooting is what? Refresh 2-3 times or right click on the Yahoo, transfer again or stop and start again the DNS server. These are the troubleshooting. So let me go to my DC now here. Here. The records are here, but the record should come into this machine without creating it. So let me do again this slave server. Go to this. Now come to the forward lookup zone. Yahoo is there. So still it is not upload. So what should I do? Now stop and start the DNS service. All tasks. It's not there. So what should I do? Stop. Stop the DNS service. So how you'll stop it? Start it. So go to the services. First I'll do it on the server also. I'll go to the so let me go to the services here on go to the tools. Here I have services, all services. Then I just select anyone and write it what DNS. So can you see here DNS server? So just go to the DNS server, stop, and start. I'll do it from for the client also. Stop. This I did in the master. Now come back to the slave. Here also, I'll just start and DNS because this also we made as a server. Stop. Start. Now Let us see the records are replicated. So again, I'll go back. This is my client machine, which I made as a standard secondary. Go to the again DNS. Which forward lookup zone we have created? Yahoo. Did you find the records now? See, this is my DC machine. These DC machine records are there, which have been replicated to the client. Now that our machine has become what? Standard secondary, because the replication is taking place. So this is here. System 1, you can see clearly system 1, forward lookup zone, Yahoo. But now, here, this is your system 2. You can see clearly. This is system 2. Clearly you can see the records are generated. I did not create it. The replication takes place. Now it means my machine is working. This machine is working like a standard secondary. So if my master is done, this will provide the services to the existing client without any disturbance, without any trouble or breakup in the service. The standard secondary? Yes? Any doubt? Okay, understood everybody up to this? I'm not getting today much reply. I just ask, it is okay for everyone? Okay, I got it reply. Yes, thank you for confirmation. So now, shall we proceed with the next thing? What is the next thing we have to discuss? See, somebody asked me, can secondary provide service to new client? It cannot, existing only, because it doesn't have anything, anything to what? Any new modification it cannot do. So if suppose a new client means what? New thing. Suppose some users join in the domain, they can join it. And the whatever services was there in the master DNS server, same thing it will provide. If it is a new client also, he can receive, but he cannot do any new things to the existing. Any new things you cannot do modification, because it's a option of having only read. So if a new client join it, whatever services available to all users existing, same thing you will get, not any additional services, I mean to say. A new client join means he can join it because it works like a same DNS server. So if I'm a new client, I want to join this machine into the domain. So as admin, I can log in and join it. There will be no problem with that. But new services you cannot have related with the DNS. Understood? Okay. Yes, new client can join through the secondary DNS server. There will be no problem with that. Remember. Existing client also can get the same services, and new also can join through that. Otherwise, then that was the problem. No, if new employees came, if the master is not there, so you cannot join into the domain. That user cannot log in. So with the secondary DNS server, we can join the machine as well as that user can log in from the domain. There will be no problem with that. Clear with this, everybody? Okay, can I go to the next practical? What is the next thing we have to discuss? Yes, secondary will have the authority of joining the new client. Okay, now how we will join the machine by using what? Go to the computer icon, then you will say what? Like this. How you will join it? Let me show you. How you will join the new machine, same, it can be done. And if you want, like somebody asked me, we can just go to the command prompt. And now you want to check the things like ping or everything, you can able to do it, the services. Like I used yesterday, what command? NS lookup. Now I'm trying to get what? Yeah, www.yahoo.com. Will show me. Now it will also ping with what? This. If you want still more verification, you can go to the DC. You can go to the DC. Just you disable the LAN card of this. Go to the DC machine. This is my client machine. This is my DC. This is my client. Now I'll go to the DC. Just I'll disable my LAN card. Means the DC is not working. The DC is not working. Still you will not get any problem. Still you will not get any problem. So the complete DC, not only DC is there. So what I'll do, just I'll show you what. Stop the DNS instead of this disabling and enabling. So this is my DC machine. Go to the services. DNS. DNS. I'll stop. I'll go to the client. Let me again try to ping it. I'm getting the reply. Even if master is down, you will get a reply. The data has been replicated. The records have been replicated. I'll again start it. Okay. Now our next practical. What is the next practical for us? What is the next practical for us? So what you have said, if I'm creating two zones, Yahoo and Gmail, here transfer one by one, and time Gmail also transfer. Time only one DC is working. See, we have another, we have upcoming practical. You'll see that. After that, you can ask me this same doubt. Okay, just wait for a few minutes. Now, now we'll discuss about what next zone. What is the next zone we have? So we discuss standard primary over standard secondary zone. Next for us is what? Stub zone. Now we are going to discuss what stub zone. Stub zone means what? Contain only the partial information. Like it will not have the full information like host record and alias. It will have only an, but still it can able to locate the other server. With the help of this partial information, it will go to the other server. That is what the stub zone. So it is something like index. I said you when we were discussing which topic, I said this will work like index GC. So when we go to the fifth topic of the Active Directory session, we discuss what GC. So GC is having what full information about its own domain and partial information of all other domains. So it work like a index. So same way, stub zone is also what it contain the partial information. So through this partial information, it will go to the server where the full information is there. So that is why like it will act like a index, and still the communication or the service can be available. How? We'll see now. So now our next target is what? Next target is what? How to create a stub zone. So we'll be doing now what? Stub zone. So let me show you the practical for that now, how to create the stub zone. Now for creating the stub zone, what you have to do? DC machine, open the server manager console, create some new standard primary zone. Like I've created here what? Gmail. So I created what here? A Gmail. Then in the system too, I need to log in. I need to log in as an administrator. Preferred DNS and IP address should be same, but I need to remove what? Alternate DNS IP address. This setting I need to do. Then open the server manager console, right click on system 2, right click on forward lookup zone, create one new stub zone with what name? Gmail. Then master DNS server, validate next. Now the verification. So you open the slave, it will have only SO record and NS, but the resolution to the Gmail will be done with the help of what? Address record. Not be getting the stub zone. So it will have partial information. But still, if you go to the command prompt and ping from your stub zone, it will ping. So with this partial information, it will act like an index and it will go to the main server where that information is there. So that is what the stub zone will do. Can I show you the practical about the stub zone? Yes. Will I proceed with the practical for the stub zone? Yes. Thank you for your confirmation. Let me do the stub zone practical. So first I'll go to my DC machine. Here I'll create a new zone, new forward lookup zone. We work from the mostly forward name to IP. So that's why I'm not creating the reverse lookup zone. Already I shown you how to create it. So we'll concentrate on forward. So I have Yahoo. Let me create a one new for revision purpose also, so that it will get revised. So I'll create a new forward lookup zone in master. See, this is I'm doing in the master. So it should be a standard primary. So uncheck that. So I'm using now what name? Example Gmail. Now next, accept the both secure and non-secure updates. Next, finish. So now it's got created forward lookup zone, but with two records. So I need to create two more records. So what are the two records? One of them is host name, host record, the system name with IP address. So this is my DC IP address. Host record is created successfully. Okay. Now I need to create the alias record. So because the users will be accessing my public user with what name? www. But actual name is what? System1 dot gmail.com. Now this is created in the DC. I'll create a stub zone now. I'll create a stub zone. So for stub zone, what is the requirement? Go to the network LAN card. Remove the IP address of the DC machine. Keep what? Just keep what? This IP address. This machine IP address. Remove what? The alternate DNS IP address. disable, enable. Now, see here, I'll create a stub zone. So how to create a stub zone now? Go to the server manager console. Now open the DNS service from the tools. Now I don't have the forward lookup zone with the name Gmail. I'll create it, but I'll create not standard primary, not standard secondary, but stub zone. So how to create a stub zone now? Right click on this forward lookup zone, new zone. Next, now select the name what? Select the name what? Stub zone, not the primary or secondary. Then next, what is the name? Gmail.com. Next, next. Here, validate master DNS server IP. What is the master DNS server IP? 10.0.1. Validate. Next, finish. Now you go to the Gmail. It will have only two records. So I'm not creating any records. I'm not creating any record like address record or host record. Address record, which is also called host record, or also I'm not creating any alias record. But still, in this machine, I should able to communicate with what? Gmail. So let's open the command prompt now. Now try to ping. This is my system too. Try to ping to the Gmail. I'm just restarting once again services. Email blank card is enable or enable. Let me come to my machine now. So this is my client. So here for Gmail, I'm not having these two records. So let me go to the command prompt. SO and NS is still not there. Let me try to communicate now from the second machine. Ping www.gmail.com. It's not communicating. Let me communicate with Yahoo. Try to communicate with the Gmail. What is the name I used here? So just 1 minute. Just check the name here. Email. Sorry, I didn't give the name properly. See here, fully qualified name. I did not give it properly. It should be system one. Now let me go to this. Try to communicate. I'm not getting it. Let me start the. I'll go to the services. We go to this. How is communicating? Check once more. DNS. Check once more. See, now I'm getting it. See, can you able to see all of you? I can able to communicate now with the Gmail with the partial information. I don't have the full information, but I have only the partial information. You can see here. This is from the system too. See, I'll show you. When I go to the DNS, I don't have about the Gmail, the host record and alias record. I have only what two records, but still you can see I can able to communicate. I can able to communicate with what? I can communicate with what? So this is happening because it have the partial information. It will go to the server DC with the help of like index. Sometime if you are not getting the result, you just restart your services. So it is okay now up to now everybody. Yes, understood this. So how many zones we have completed today? Two zones, standard, secondary and standard primary. Which one is left out now? Which one is left out? One more zone. Yes, integrated primary zone. Active Directory integrated primary zone. So that will be our next task for today. So let's for last zone. So we discussed today what? Standard secondary stub zone. Yesterday we done standard primary. So three zones have been completed. Last one is what? Active Directory. It is called what? Active Directory Integrated Primary Zone. What is the full name of that? Active Directory Integrated Primary Zones. So it stores the information about the zones in Active Directory database file. So our complete domain information is stored where? In the Active Directory database file. So when we install this Active Directory ADDS service, what happens? The service records will get created, which are called SRV records. So with the help of these SRV records, what are the things will be done? We'll see now. What are the SRV records? So SRV records allow the DNS client to locate the TCP IP based services. SR records are used when domain need to replicate the data from the DC to the ADC. So whenever a client searches the Active Directory, SRV records will help. And whenever a user change their password, at that time also passwords will be allowed to change with the help of what? SRV records. Whenever administrator modify anything, whether renaming or deleting some Active Directory or just the renaming or change the privileges, all those things, modification will be updated with the help of service records. So these are the things that these are the things which will be done with the help of what? These are the things which will be done with the help of what? SRV records. So what are the SRV records will do? We just now discussed. What it will do? Will allow the DNS client to locate the service. And the when we join the machine into the domain, that also will help to the Active Directory, because when we are joining, we are clicking on what? Domain name, like change setting, click on what? Domain name. So we are giving the name. So how it is resolved? With the help of what? Is services record. And when we create the backup of the DC with what name? ADC. So the replication takes place. Whatever data is there from the DC, it came back to the ADC with the help of whom? The service recorded. So if these service records are not there, then the data won't be replicated from the DC to ADC. The users cannot join, or new machine cannot be joined into the domain. And whenever the passwords are changed, those updates password will be not updated. And if any modification administrator does on the Active Directory, either renaming or changes done, that will be not also updated. So this the service records plays very important. Will create these service records. How many service records will be there by default? 6. Who will create it? It will be created default whenever we made our machine as what? Domain controller. So these service records will get created when we make our machine as a domain controller. So how many service records will be there by default? 6. So what are the 6 service records will do? It will allow the system or the machine to be joined into the domain, and whenever we make any backup server, the replication takes place from the main machine to the, like when we take the backup of the domain controller as ADC. So the replication, complete data from the DC is replicated to the ADC with the help of what? These service records. Then whenever client uses the any service with the help of the name, it is done through the Active Directory integrated primary zone. And the passwords, when they change, the users, they also updated into the Active Directory with the help of what? Service records. Because the users log in through what? Domain. So domain things are there in the Active Directory. The Active Directory contains its information through service records. So these are the things will be maintained by the service records. So did you understood the usage or advantages with the Active Directory integrated primary zones? So when we create this Active Directory, see, its use is within the local domain. It's not related with the WAN. It is related with what? LAN only. When we talk about the WAN, it comes what? The router into picture. Okay, Ram, is related with our local area network. See, TCP is what? When we talk about TCP, it doesn't mean that it is always related with WAN. TCP means it's related with the services. Like we have configured some services, DNS, DSCP. So these are the services we are using in our network. Services may be used in other network, but at that time, if it is other network means in other place means then you need to connect it to the router. Then it is called wide area network. Okay. Now coming to today's, these are the importance of the service record. So who will create these service records? Who will create? It will be created default whenever we make our machine as a domain controller. Yes, when we make our machine as a domain controller, this service records will be created. What is the use of this service record? For replication purpose, for searching purpose, for updating the password, as well as whenever the changes have been done in the Active Directory in the form of child domain, trust, all those things will be stored in the, or it is done through the service record, and which will be updated into the database file, Active Directory database file. Okay, done. So we'll see the practical. So by default, service records will be created. But if the service records are get deleted or got some problem or got affected, again it got corrupted maybe. Again you can able to install it. How to install this service record? We'll see it practically. Now let us do the practical of this. So now we have completed subzone. Now we are going for Active Directory integrated primary zone. Now here this will be there in the DC machine. So open the DC machine. Delete the Active Directory integrated primary zone from the Zoom. Then forward lookup zone, delete zoom.com. Then right click on the forward lookup zone, click on new zone, select primary, then check the box integrated primary zone. Next, zone name, next, finish, verification. Open the DNS service, open this Active Directory primary, 6 zones will be there. If it is missing, just restart the DNS service and net logon service. Now I'll show you this practical. So this will be there only in the DCC here. So I'm going to the DC machine. So already these service records are there. So I'll delete and create it again for you to understand it in an easy way. What I'll do, I'll go to this. I'll go to the DNS. So here by default our domain is there with what name? Zoom.com. So zoom.com is been created with a forward lookup zone. It is a name. So these are the service records you can find. These are the service records. Sorry, this is not the service record. These are the service records. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are service records. Which will be created default and we make our machine as a domain controller. So what I'll do, I'll delete these service records. So I given in the notes here how to proceed with this practical. Already it is there. So what I'll do, I'll delete this Active Directory integrated primary zone. Then once I delete this, I'll create it again. So let us do this practical. So already it is existing. So what I'm doing now, I'm deleting this zone. How to delete? Come back. So DC machine, forward, open the forward lookup zone. So here you have what? Zoom.com. I'm deleting it. Now, my entire domain will get affected now. Now no no user can join into the machine, new users. Because there is, if I create a DC and already existing ADC is there, and if I write some data from the DC, that thing will get updated into the ADC. And if I create any child domain or the trust, those information will be not updated into the database file. So these are the problems you will get faced with the missing of this Active Directory integrated zone. See here, now that is not there. So how to create it? So it is a power lookup zone. Zoom.com is a name. So create it with same name, our domain name. New, I'm creating forward lookup zone. So earlier, when I'm creating this forward lookup zone, primary zone, I was using only this name, but now it is a Active Directory integrated primary zone. So which option we need to select? The fourth option. But it should be a primary Active Directory integrated zone. So this and this option should be there. For stage secondary, only this. For primary, only this. For stub zone, only this. But for the Active Directory integrated primary zone, this both should be checked. Understood now? Okay. Then next, zone name. What zone now? Zoom.com. Allow secure and non-secure both. Finish. Now let me see here. These records have been created. So here records have been created. Same records. Otherwise, if something you are missing, refresh it. Still, if you are not getting wins, what you can do, go to the services, DC machine, go to the services, service, DNS, just stop, start, start, stop. So it is already stopped. Sorry, start. Or stop it, start it. You do one more thing, that is net logon. Here you have net logon services also. Stop. Now go back to your DNS. Forward lookup zone, zoom.com. This is how we create the integrated primary zone. So did you understood everybody? See, integrated primary zone is a must. It has to be there compulsory. Then only your domain will work. First thing. Then the second is what? Second thing is what? Master DNS server has to be present compulsory. And the backup of that, it is also mandatory station. The stop zone is optional. But it is a large network. Then you can have the stop zone. But these are the mandatory. Integrated primary zone. Without that, you cannot work in the domain. Second, master DNS server and slave DNS. These are the essential things. Stub zone is optional. If you keep it for a large network, it is good. Like in the slide they have shown. If it is a big network, complicated, so creating that many links, instead of that, you create a stub zone. So with a stub zone, it will like act like an index. Okay. So have you understood this already? Is there any problem with any topic in today's session? Yes. If is there any issue with the service record, definitely your domain will get affected. to this, everybody is fine? Is there any doubt regarding today's session up to now? Yes, any doubts, anybody? See, if you get any problem with the service record, it will have affect entire domain, not only in the DC, entire domain with service record. And if it is a issue with only master DNS server or slave, then it is affected will be through the DNS. The issues will be only the things which are related with the DNS will get affected. Done. So still we have time today. So we'll discuss some other things also. Like these are the main important things related with the DNS, but still we have the time. So we can discuss something like a forwarders. Forwarders means which will forward our request from one DNS server to the other DNS server. So in this forwarders, we'll discuss. So forwarder is a DNS service designated to resolve your external DNS domain name by forwarding the request. Like the request came to the client, then it came to the the local ISP service provider or to the national. They have forwarded to where? To the ISP. So how it will be forwarded? So we can create one forwarder in our DNS server. How to create a forwarder? We can discuss now. So it will forward it. So what of the forward DNS server? Forward the request to the next available DNS server. See, when we are changing the IP address, so you remember mostly for the purpose of for the setup based on the requirement of the topic. So in the real time, suppose it is a mandatory to change the IP means in the real time in one server you cannot have two different IP at the same time. In the real time, they'll create what for one important service, one VM machine. For another important machine, for another important service, one VM machine, another in the physical machine. So whatever practical we are doing, same thing will be there, but not in one machine. It might be a virtual many machines. In one important service they'll configure. That changes will be there for that machine. But we are doing everything in two machines. So that's why I'm showing you frequently the setups. This you have to do, that you have to change. So in the real time, they will use what? For one important machine, sorry, for one important service, one important machine they'll create as a virtual machine. Is it okay? Because we are doing everything in two machines. That's why we are changing. Yes. So for one DC, one machine will keep. For one DNS, it might be same machine another. For one DSCP, another. Like this. They'll create one virtual machine. Yes. For backup again, one virtual machine they'll create. But we are doing every practical. Alternate DNS also we did same thing. Alternate ADC also we have done the same thing. So we are changing the IPs. I think you understood. Okay, fine. So what is the next thing we are going to discuss? How to create. What is that? Resource limitation. So now we are going to discuss what? Forwarders. So in forwarders we have what? Where we can forward our request. If we don't have the information with us, we can forward to the other DNS server. That is what we will do with the forwarders. So in the forwarders, you also have what? Conditional forwarders. So you also have what? Conditional forwarders. So first we will discuss about how the forwarders will forward the request. If they don't have the information, they'll pass on to the other DNS server. So that is been done by a forwarders. So we'll see now how to forward, how to create or configure the forwarder DNS server. Okay. So what the forwarder will do? Forward request. If it doesn't have the information, it try to get that information by passing that request to some other DNS server, which may have that information. So that is what called forwarders. Now let us see how to configure the forwarders. Today we have done secondary, stub, and integrated primary zone. Now next thing is what? Forwarders. So in this, two types of forwarders are there. One is simply a forwarder, the other one is called conditional forwarders. So conditional forward means it will forward if that condition is fulfilled. Forwarder means there will be no condition. It will forward it. So these are the two types of forwarder. What is the difference between forwarder and conditional forwarder? Conditional forwarder will forward only if certain condition is fulfilled. So what is that condition? We'll see now. Conditional forwarder. So now for the system one DC machine, delete all the secondary and stub zone for this practical like Yahoo, Gmail, clear the cache memory. How do you clear the cache memory? Go to the command prompt, type it what ipconfig slash forward slash plus DNS. So this is the command used to plus the cache memory. Then in system 2, then in system 1, login as admin, open the server manager console, create some standard primary zones with the host record. So first you delete everything, then create. Like I'm creating some two new names. Now create the font of we created the standard primary forward lookup zones. Now create the conditional forward. So go to the DNS machine, right click here, then click on conditional forwarder. So my license is over, no? That's why it's got restarted after 1 hour. So let me start this machine. So now in system 2, conditional forwarders should be done from not DC, from other machine. Go to the DNS, right click on what? Conditional forwarder, click on new conditional forwarder DNS name. Which forwarder lookup zones you have created, that name you can give. The master DNS server of the IP address, validate, okay. Then ping to the Yahoo. So you have given the condition of that, but you have created two zones, remember, Yahoo and Gmail. Now it will come to the, now you ping to the Yahoo, it should reply, but when you ping to the Gmail, it should not reply because you are given in the conditional only Yahoo. Actually, in the DC, how many zones you have created? Two zones, Yahoo and Gmail, but it is replying only to the Yahoo because in conditional forwarder, you have given the whose name. So if that name is existing, then if that condition is fulfilled, then only it will communicate. But what about the forwarders? There is no condition. So if you create instead of the conditional forwarder, only the forwarder and give the IP address. So in forwarder will give only the IP address, but in conditional forwarder will give the IP and name. Remember. So you ping to the Yahoo, it will ping. You ping to the Gmail, still it will ping, even though you are not given the name. So that is the difference between conditional forwarder and forward. So let me show you this practical now. Understood the concept, everybody? Can I begin with the practical? Okay, fine. Now, first I need to remove all the things, whatever I have. So I'll go to my DC machine. Now the server manager console is get open. Select the conditional forward, then forwarder. Then open the DNS service. So whatever stub zone, secondary zones you have created, forward lookup zone, you delete it. So I deleting what? The Gmail, also deleting the Yahoo. Then I'll go to the my client machine, which I used like a stub zone, secondary zone. So I need to remove that also. So let me go to the DNS server. This is I'm doing in the client machine. See, remember. Go to the client machine now. Here also you have created some forward lookups like Yahoo, Gmail. You have to delete it. Everything has been deleted now. Now we'll do the practical for what? Conditional forwarder first. So first you create some two new zones. So what you have to do? Create two new zones with any new name. It should be primary zones. Remember, two zones you have to create. So I'm creating zone with name, suppose ccna.com. Let me create for ccna what? Host record and alias record. Host record, system one, type it. Now, one more record you have to create, that is the alias. No, alias record how to create. That's why I'm not repeating, because we done already twice. So here it should be what? Our system name with my domain name. What is my domain name now? So this is your fully qualified. So how many forward lookup zones have we created? CCNA one. Like this, you create one more with any other name. New zone. Then it will be primary zone. Like I'm creating another one, like suppose linux.com. Allow both secure and non-secure. Now here again it will have two zones. You need to create two more zones. One is host record. This is the host record now. System name, type address. Done. Yes. Then create a alias record. With what name? www. But actual name is what? This name. Okay. Our master DNS service is ready. In the DC. From the other machine, we'll use what? Conditional forwarder. So first we'll do with what? Conditional forwarder. Means I'll give the name of the Linux. Oh, sorry, I'll give the name of anyone to I created. Linux and CCNA. So I'll give one of the name. So it will communicate with only the name which I have given, not with the other one. But if I create just a forwarder instead of the conditional forwarder, it will communicate with both. That is what the verification is. So if you give the conditional, the name has to be given. To the which name you have given, that only it will communicate, not with the other. That is the condition. If you use only the forwarder means whatever may be the website, you don't have to give the name. It will try to forward to all the DNS servers. That is the difference. So let me go to the DNS now. Now let me create which one? Conditional forwarder. You can see here conditional forwarder system 2 new conditional forwarder. Then the name, suppose I'm giving which name, CCNA domain name, which I created there. So validate with what? IP address. What is the IP address? Where it is there? In the DC. What is the IP? 10.1. Validate. Now it's been done, given the name. So it is a conditional forward. So same thing I mentioned here in the notes. First, I went to the conditional forwarder like this. I created two zones. Two zones created with the host record. Then I came to the conditional forwarder. How to create a conditional forwards in system 2. I went to the new conditional forwarder, given the name, IP address, then verification. You ping to the one website. Should ping to one website, but not to the other one. That is the verification. How do you create the forwarders? Same process. Right click on the system 2. Then select here what? Forward. Then give the IP address. No name. It will ping with others. Same. No? So now I'll go to my DC machine, because I forgot in DC machine what? To flush the DNS previous. I'll go to the command prompt. What should I type? Ipconfig flush DNS. So you can do multiple times. Now this is okay. This is also is created conditional forward. Now you try to ping with what? You're given whose name in the conditional forward? CCN, but you are not given the name of the Linux, because in the DC you have created two zones. You see here, you have created two zones, not one zone. You have created two zones, CCNA as well as Linux. But in the conditional forwarder, whose name you have given? Only CCNA. So it should communicate with CCNA, but not with the Linux. This is what the conditional forwarder. Okay. Now I came to the command prompt. Now let us try to ping with what? www.ccna.com is replying, but it should not reply with what? linux.com. Let us see what happens. So it is replying, means it's not verified. So what I'll do, client machine, how the how given what? Remove the completely the DC entry. Now let me go to the this machine again. Client. Let me try to ping once again. Additional forwarder. Ping to cna.com. Should ping. Then ping to the linux.com. Should not ping ideally. Let me just restart the services again. I'll try to restart again the services. This is my DC machine. Services. DNS. Start. DNS service. Server restart. This is in the DC. Let me come to the client now. DNS. Let me go to these services for the client also. DNS services. DNS. DNS. Restart. And DNS server. Let us try to verify again. It should ping with Linux dot. Sorry, it should ping with CCNA, but not with the Linux. Let's hope. Let's see what it is doing now. Ping www.ccna.com. It is replying. It should not reply with the Linux. Once again, I'll check the result. What are the things I created here? Linux and CCN. So let me again create. I deleted that existing. Let me create once more. Conditional forwarder. Conditional for the DNS service domain name. What is the domain name? ccna.com. I'm validating with the help of what? The server IP address. And say what? Okay. Now let us try to ping to the CCNA. Communicating. But that is not the issue. The verification should be actually should not ping with what? Because we have not mentioned anything about linux.com. www.linux.com. Just give me a minute. Yes, it is done. Now Let us create one more time, two more website. I'll create it. Forward lookup zone. I'm deleting linux.com. I'm deleting. Just once more, I'll create a new one. So let me create one new forward lookup zone with some name. So this should be just a primary zone. So I'm using some name ccnp.com. ccnp.com. I'm using the name. Create it. Sorry, allow secure and non-secure both. Now create the host record and alias record. Host record should be what? The system name with IP address. Okay. Alias record. System name is done with ccnp. Yes. Let us create one more record. Next zone name, I'll create something like ms.com. Secure, non-secure both. Now let me create for this also two more records, host record and alias record. This is the host record. Okay, done. Next, create alias record. Okay, done with this. Now let's check with what? I'll create a conditional forwarder in this machine. So go to the tools, then DNS, then I'll remove here this name. So create the conditional forwarder here, right click, new, then here the name, what I created just now, ccnp.com, IP address of our DC. Then say OK, conditional forwarder is created. Ideal what I'm looking for should communicate with what? Only CCNP. Communicating with CCNP, no problem with that. But it should not communicate with what? ms.com. Create or the other thing. me a minute. Why it is communicating with check once more. www.ccna.com. What is the other one? ms.com. Still it is communicating. Try with this. I'll just restart the machine. That is the last step I can do. I'll just restart the machine because it might be there in the cache memory. So I'll just restart and do again. That is the alternate option. Just stay for a minute. Now we restart. No, that is not a problem because records have been created in same machine. No, where we have created that IP we have to give. Let me check now. My DC is ready. Sorry, this is my client. This is my DC. Yes. Let me. This is my client now. Everything is done. That verification. But as for the theory, whatever we have said, same thing we should get it practically. No, that's what I'm doing. So If it won't get, I'll try once more. If it won't get, I'll stop the session. Then again, I'll repeat this. What was the problem? I need to check it out. Then I'll let you know by tomorrow. So last time I'm doing it. Done. Ideally, should what happen? Communicate with what name we have given CNP. It should not communicate with what? Should not communicate with what? ms.com. So let me check once more. So if it is not done, I'll remove all this. Again, I'll try to do one more time. If I get okay, no other. If I otherwise, if I don't get, I'll check out the what is the problem and let you know by tomorrow morning. Okay, but we'll do one more time. Let's check thing with what www.cnp.com. So for this, there is no problem. But ideally, what should happen? Should not ping with what ms.com because we have not given in the conditional forward that name. Still, it is pinging. So what I'll do the last time, I'll go to the his PC machine. I'll remove again the existing name and I'll create two more website once more. Last time we'll do. If again same problem persists, I'll stop the session. I'll check it out. Problem. Then let you know tomorrow. Okay. So let me just go to the again DNS. The DNS. Let us create two more for this I'm removing. Also I'm removing. Let me create the fresh one. Two forward lookup zones will create. Two forward lookup zones will create. So this should be one of the forward lookup zone. Let's take some new name. Suppose abc.com. This is one of the name. So here also allow both secure, non-secure. Then say finished. For this abc dot create two zones, host record and alias record. Sorry, I think I did wrong. So let me create what host record. Host record. So here simply what the system name and the IP address. Okay, done. Next, we need to create the alias record. What is the alias name now for this? www. This should be what system1.abc.com. So now let me create one more here, one more zone. Let's call this as a what some other name. Should be so this name I give something like bmw.com. Should be also both secure, non-secure. And for this also you create two zones. Sorry, two records. One is host record. Host record. Other one is the alias. The alias. The complete name is what system1 bmw. We have done it. Now let us just remove the command prompt, type it what config slash flush DNS. Let me go to the client now. We go to the client machine. Open the DNS. Here, whatever forward lookup zones, whatever reverse zone is there, additional forwarder I'll remove. Now let me create one forward lookup. Sorry, conditional forwarder here. New conditional forwarder. What is the DNS domain name? DNS domain. It name just now abc.com. IP address of this server. Conditional forwarder is created. Go to the command prompt. ipconfig slash DNS. Now let me ping with what? www.abc.com. Now let us try to ping with what? Other website. What is the other website I have? Created bmw.com. So again it is pinging. And what I last time. Is also so I'll just check this output why it is communicating. Ideally it should not communicate, but it is communicating. So I'll check it out with what is the problem. So tomorrow I'll let you know, because I done whatever possible thing I could do. I have done, but still it is communicating. So what is the issue? I'll check it out and I'll let you know tomorrow. Okay. So ideally it should not communicate BMW, because there is no entry anywhere. So I'll check this and I'll let you know tomorrow. Other than that, we discuss what secondary stub and active directory integrated. So tomorrow means what? Sunday. Tomorrow is Sunday. No, there will be no class. Tomorrow means what? That is the Monday. I'll let you know on Monday what is the issue with this, and I'll do that. Is there any regarding session? Anybody? You can ask. Those who are understood, you can leave for today's session. So once again, reminding you, please stay safe. So good. Good. Thank you, everyone. Everyone wishing you what? Happy weekend. Stay safe. Then on Monday we'll continue the session this problem. What is that? I'll try to resolve it. Okay. Okay. So thank you everyone. So somebody is asking for this slide, just so you can take this. So this is about the phones. Okay, done. Want any other slide? Any other slide? Okay. Anybody else? See, what is the forwarder means what? It should forward it. The request should be forwarded. So in there, two types of forwarders are there. So if you mention the forwarder means, it will simply forward to anybody, everybody. But the conditional forwarder means what? If I write the condition, then only it should forward it. But here in the conditional, we have to give the name as well as IP. Like I'm giving the name, CCNA, or whatever the various option I tried, ABC, like that. So if I give the name, I should have two website or two forward lookup zones. So which name I have given, to that only it should forward, not to conditional forward. But in our case, what is happening? It is forwarding to what? All of them. So that should happen with what? Forwarders, not with the conditional forwarders. We can remove that cache memory with the command I said. So this is your conditional forwarder. So in conditional forwarder, which name we have given, to that only it should forward, not to the others. And in the forwarder, it should forward to everybody, whichever domains you have forward lookup zone, to everybody. That is the difference. But here in the conditional forwarder, I'm giving the name of one. Other also is there, but it is communicating with other also. That is the issue I'm getting today. So I'll try to resolve it and I'll get the answer by Monday. Is there any other doubt? Anybody? Okay, so just on the WhatsApp message, you tell it same way. This is my duty only. I'll just remind the concerned people again. So you have the mail ID of the Priya. You can just remind her also once more. Priya at the rate Zoom group dot. Okay, you are done. So I'll also let her know on the group. Okay. Is there any other doubt? I'll do that. Okay, thank you everyone. I'm closing the session. Happy weekend to everybody. Thanks. So we'll continue what? Okay, thank you everyone. We'll continue the session on Monday. Okay, same to everybody. It applies to me and you also. Thank you. I'll also try to stay safe. Okay, thanks to everybody. We'll continue the session on Monday. Tomorrow means, please remember, tomorrow is Sunday. So tomorrow there will be no session. Monday we'll continue with this point as well as that is that is IIS. And I try to resolve this issue. I'll try to sit and see it. What is the issue? Okay. Thanks everybody. I'm closing the session.